What is up, car nerds? Welcome back to the Fuel for Thought podcast, episode 19. Yes, we're already on episode 19. I'm Jay. That is
Kevin. Hello.
Kevin's also here. And today we have another guest here today. We have Voose, or Vool, or whatever the hell you want to be called.
Yeah, we'll go by Voose this episode.
We'll go with Voose. He's my brother. And today we're talking about the Audi RS4, which happens to be Vool's car. Voose's car. Sorry, my bad. It's kind of going to be the topic of today's episode. So you want to kick it off, Kevin?
Yeah, so this is a trial run for us. We'll see how bad it ends up, but we wanted to have a guest and give it a go on the podcast, try things out. So, let's dive into it.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you want this job.
All right, give me this bad boy here. So yeah, my name's Voose. I'm Jay's brother, and I've known Kevin since about 6th grade. I'm 24 years old and I work in finance, and I've always been into cars ever since I was little, whipping the little Hot Wheels around and getting into shit boxes when I was 16 years old. So always been big into the Euro stuff as well, which is how I landed with an RS4. So
sweet. Yeah. And another person with an Audi in the fam, so you know how that goes. Just one person has an Audi and then the other person gets an Audi, and it's kind of how it goes. So who knows? Maybe Kevin might be joining us. We'll see in the next episode what we decide.
Next episode, yes.
Yes, absolutely. All right, so we want to dive into some questions. We want to learn a little bit more about the RS4 and kind of your experience with it. So you wanna give us our first question, Kevin?
Yeah.
Do you know your first question?
I mean, I made a little script.
Yeah, I mean it's good to have some structure, but then we can kind of just let it free flow. Exactly. Yeah.
So I want to know the process of first. How did you come to choose an RS4, and then the buying process? How did that go down?
That's a good question. So I'm not sure if these guys have covered this in a previous episode, but we're in Canada, so inclement weather is a big part of our lives up here, and I wanted something that had power but also I could drive year round with the amount of snow we get here. So naturally Quattro was something I was interested in. The S4s, they kind of interested me, like the new B8 S4s with the V6, but I wanted something a little more rare and a little more, when you see it, it turns heads. So naturally, I kind of stumbled on the RS4, which has the V8 that revs above 8,000 RPM. So that obviously drew me in. And then, honestly, from there, just kind of looked around, found one that was a good example, and purchased it. So
that's actually a good choice, because back when you first bought it, the S4s were I'd say maybe on par, the same price. But if you look at S4s now, I just saw one a couple of days ago for $7,000.
Yeah, they go for nothing, and I think it's because of the timing chain issue too, right? That's part of the problem.
But also they're
for the B7,
a lot more of them compared to the
rarity.
Because for that model, they never made the RS4.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So that S4 was the highest.
That's
trim,
true.
Which is
because how many years did they make the RS4? Do you remember?
Yeah, Kevin's right. So they only made it for 2007 and 2008. Okay. So it's 2 years in North America. Whereas crazy. In Europe, you can get them for all the years. So
yeah, and they also have the Avants as well. Do they have those here now too? Have they started importing them?
Yeah, so they never had them in production here, but it just reached, in Canada, there's the 15-year rule, where once a car is 15 years or older, you can actually import it. So the 07 Avants, or I guess 06 factory year, just became legal to import here. So you're kind of starting to see them around, but of course, they're fetching a big premium right now. So not too common.
Curious how that'll go with the prices of overall RS4s if there's more flood in the market, but I mean, we'll see. It'll be interesting for sure. But yeah, what's interesting actually about this whole story about when Voose bought his car is that I actually bought mine, I think the same day, or was it?
Yeah,
one day after. So
it was a perfect setup.
Yeah, it was crazy. They were the exact same price. They were 2 days apart. We bought them, and our parents actually went to go buy them for us because we were in school at the time. So it was pretty crazy. It was literally within 2 days we were looking for probably a year or two online, looking at the secondhand market.
Let's prefix that your parents didn't buy it for it.
Exactly.
They just
paid they helped us. They gave us a little
financed help. A little portion. Bank of mommy and daddy. And then slowly we paid it back with a very attractive interest rate of 0%. So
and
that was very helpful.
Yeah, like Donald Trump, a small loan of $1 million gets you a long way. So you know how it is, but. Yeah, so that's kind of how we got into Audis. Our dad actually owned an Audi A6 Allroad back in the day. And
Fully built, yeah.
Yeah, so he spent a couple of years building that thing out. Thing was literally a death machine. Every time, like he upgraded something and went out to drive it, it got crashed or something broke. So he kind of just gave up on it eventually. But it was a good car, and like he really loved Audi. So I guess that kind of rubbed off on us.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right. So what about some other cars that you've owned? Have you owned other cars before? I kind of know this, but for the audience, of course.
Yeah. No, so it's not too interesting of a track record. So I started out in cars with a G35 sedan. Bought it for around $3,000, and it was honestly pretty clapped. It had such bad camber that when I actually drove it home, so I bought it in a province over here in Canada, and when I drove it home, the 500-kilometer drive, the tires fully wore out from the camber. So I was driving on wired tires for the last little part, just hoping they wouldn't explode, and replacing those tires, every couple thousand kilometers. So it's a nightmare to own, but fun car nonetheless. Rear wheel drive, sedan, has the VQ35 little V6. So not a bad starting platform, but definitely wanted to go up from there.
Let's just preface this too. That thing. Like, I literally had to do the groceries for our household because literally Vol couldn't go over the speed bumps to get in the parking lot. That's how bad and low it was. I think it was like, what, like 2 inches?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was like 2 inches off the ground or something, right?
Oh, it was horrible.
Yeah.
And like I mentioned, the inclement weather here too. In the winter, you'd just be shoveling snow and it wouldn't even move. So I remember getting towed up the driveway by this guy and my dad all the time. So
you had to park like at the top of the driveway so you could actually leave. It was great.
Yeah, park on the side of the road. It was horrible.
Yeah, so do you have any cool stories with the Infiniti? I know we kind of touched on it, but like, is there anything like that stands out when you owned that thing?
Not really with the Infiniti. I think I was still pretty new to driving then, and I was young and just trying not to crash my first car. Kind of driving like a pussy. I don't know if you'll have to bleep that out, but
we'll leave that in. No worries.
Yeah. But a lot of issues. A lot of it overheated a couple times. Ended up on the side of the highway a few times. Thermostat went bad. Just little issues here and there. Nothing too crazy, and a lot of drifting in the rain. So that part was fun, of course. But it was auto, so could have been better.
So did you sell it or scrapyard?
So I kept it, and it had an overheating issue, and had, of course, the camber issue, which was from cut springs, and a whole lot of other problems that I won't dive into. But I ended up selling it to one of my buddies for $700, and it actually still drives today. He's still beating it around. So
you're an asshole. Why'd you sell that?
I told him, I was so upfront. I'm like, here's all the issues. You can buy it, $700.
Like, here's the shit list. It's like the length of a CVS receipt, and if you want it, go for it. But
made him sign a couple documents that said "as is" in bold letters, as big as possible, and then
that's too good.
Yeah,
I remember even the thermostat, like it was like messed up. So you literally duct taped it, didn't you?
Yeah, so we were replacing the thermostat, and since it had around 300,000 kilometers, so of course, the engine's gone through so many heat cycles that when I went to replace the thermostat, it snapped a bolt in the block. So yeah, I ended up just kitting it to the block. Told my friend before he bought it, he's like, oh, no worries, I can drill that out. So yeah,
he's a mechanic, FYI. So
he's
good with that stuff.
Very handy, but
he thought it was a good deal, probably.
Yeah, I didn't personally want to open that can of worms, but he ended up doing it. So
yeah, if it was a more like high praise car like the RS4, maybe it would have been worth it. But
exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess I kind of went down on a tangent, but from the G35, I went to the RS4. Big jump. Obviously went from an auto to a manual too. So I actually learned how to drive manual in the RS4, which was scary.
That's gonna piss some people.
It was scary. Of course, it has a performance clutch and it's a 6-speed manual. So
I mean, the clutch is already clapped, right? When you kind of got it.
It wasn't bad. It was a bit of a higher mileage example. So it was definitely like what you would call, I guess, worn in. But yeah, I learned how to drive manual in that thing, and then
so did I actually. Remember?
Yeah, this guy learned too, and
actually
it off the
let's preface that. I learned on brand new Hondas at the Honda dealership that had like 6 kilometers on the odometer. I'm sorry to anyone who bought a car from Harmony Honda in Kelowna.
Just outs himself like that.
I had to. It's worth it though, but no, it was so much fun just learning that. But then once I kind of got good and wanted more practice, I did a round in your car, and you weren't too thrilled about that.
Yeah,
our dad was like, "Oh, just take his car." We just went in there.
Yeah, that was one of the financing agreements from my parents. They were like, "Yeah, sure, but he gets to learn how to drive manual in it too." So
I thought it was a great deal.
That was one of the stipulations, I guess.
Yeah, that was good times.
But the surprising thing is Can't really drive stick still to this day.
No, shots fired.
You're doing better than I am.
Oh yeah, no. It's funny when we actually race. Like I'm sure you know, he has an S8. I'll always just be kind of getting the edge on him, and then when I shift, he'll go ahead. There'll always just kind of be a race, like catching up with my slow granny shift.
Yeah, and I know he shifts like shit, so I'll just like purposely aim it right down the road, and then be good. Just get
got a double clutch like Fast and Furious, I guess, but we're not at that level yet. So maybe next car.
Not granny shifting like you should.
That's what I do. Just the good old granny shifting.
That's what it
What
is.
I'm curious about, did all the RS4s come in manual?
They did, yeah. So
okay.
The RS4, that's a nice thing. So once you kind of have an idea of what color and what interior, and if you want what it's called the titanium package, which has the black trim and the titanium colored wheels. But other than that, they all came in manual. So you really only had to choose the color that you wanted. And in North America, you don't even have to choose between the sedan or the Avant either. At least unless now you're importing. So it really makes it easier to look for one. But again, they are rare. So it's only ever a couple for sale up here.
Do you know the exact numbers?
Yeah, so there were 2,000 that were ever brought to North America. So that's across the US and Canada. And among those, a lot of them have been crashed or exploded or all other kinds of things that have kind of taken them out of commission since. So I think numbers must have come down quite a bit since 2007. So
yeah, it must also be correlated with the price increase too. Because I think a lot of people are looking for cars like that, and then they're seeing it's expensive and be like, oh, that's worth something, and then collectors are starting to buy them and stuff too.
No, that's a good point for sure. Especially nowadays too. Like we bought them. Well, I bought it 7 years ago, and today at like the market price is still higher than what I paid. So they're holding their value quite well.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's an asset.
Yeah, investment. There you got it. If you want to invest, buy an RS4. It's a great start.
That's the finance part of this podcast, right? That's our advice.
Take it from a finance guy. That's perfect.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, obviously you're not driving it currently. Why not? And what are you driving?
Yeah, let's get into the bitter reality now, I guess. So currently there were a couple issues with the car. It needs injectors. Of course, these cars are notorious for the direct injection, so carbon buildup is one of the big problems in these cars, and along with that, the injectors can get a little bit of carbon on them and actually stay stuck open, which can be a catastrophic issue for the engine. And I noticed some early signs of this, so I parked the car temporarily to take care of this and to winter drive my Pimp Edition, which is actually one car I didn't mention. Sorry, going off on another tangent, but it's a 2003 Silverado, which is what I'm currently driving, and it has a beautiful Pimp Edition badge on the side.
Wait, hold on. That's not the whole story. It's not a Silverado, is it?
Okay, so yeah, that's actually a great point. So it's half a Silverado and half, I believe, a Yukon. So the rear end and the whole powertrain is from a Silverado, and I believe the bumper, fenders, windshield, and the wheels are from a Yukon. So it's like two trucks kind of like mended together. But somehow clean title. So.
Somehow still an upgrade from the RS4,
Yeah. Yeah. There you got it.
And the best part, side exit exhaust.
Oh yeah.
Like a Dodge
She's
Viper.
loud. Yep. Loud. No airbags. Great car for the winter. Rear wheel drive. Bald tires. That was the whole plan for a winter beater. So it's perfect.
Hey, it drifts though.
Oh yeah, she sure does.
That's sweet. Yeah, those things last forever though, and it's good that you kind of have a beater now too. Even when you have your RS4 and you just don't really want to winter drive it and ruin it and stuff. So that'll be good for sure.
It's a good in betweener.
Yeah, and then what's your favorite memory in the RS4? I think I have mine.
Yeah, I think my favorite memory would have to be, when you have something really great and someone takes it away, and then when you get it back, it's that much better. Well, my favorite memory would have to be picking it up from the impound lot after I got it impounded. This was probably a couple months after I bought the car. It's just, getting it to those high RPMs, and right out from behind a semi-truck comes the police car and pulls me over. I try to apologize, and he just said, save it. I already called the tow truck. So straight to impound it went for 2 weeks. And when I got it back, I had a whole new appreciation for the car. So, yeah.
Should have just ran.
Yeah. Next time.
Keep running.
No stop for sure.
But yeah, that was an interesting. I remember the phone call I got from you. You're like, do you know where Dad is? My car's gone. I'm like, what do you mean gone?
Yeah, I originally called him. I'm like, can you pick me up? Because I don't want to explain to our parents that I impounded my new car. So I called him, but
actually weren't as mad as I thought, honestly.
Yeah.
They were pretty chill about it.
Yeah, funny story, actually. My dad's reaction was he told me to buy a radar detector. So that was it. And then years later, he gifted me his. So
this is great parenting advice for anyone watching. If you have young kids, this is what you should be doing.
That's how you know you got a car guy.
Yeah, exactly. What about the future of the car?
It's a good question. I'm kind of at a fork in the road now, whether I want to keep it. Of course, I got to do the injectors first and get it back on the road. But I'm kind of at a fork if I want to keep it or buy an RS5 or sell it and save up for something that's even more of a step up than an RS5. But I haven't really decided yet. First of all, I'll just have to fix it to sell it in general. So that'll be the first step.
It's also, we have to know, it's like 3 provinces away. So
yeah, it is.
It's not like, oh, just walk down to the shed and fix it. It's like take a flight and fix it.
Oh, it's a process. Yeah, it's parked in the middle of farmland in good old Alberta. So
yeah, it's a good 3-4 day drive away. So
it's a lot of gas money too. If the RS4 owners know. You know, V8 with the premium gas in today's economy.
And your shifts, it's not going to last long.
Yeah, heavy foot combined, it's going to be expensive.
Yeah, it's a good trip to do though. It's a fun trip. Like I did it in my S8 as well when I was moving out here, and that drive, like we've probably done it a couple times now each. Yeah,
I did it a couple times in the Audi. Actually, I had it out here before in Ontario. If that wasn't prefaced before. But another thing here is that they use a really harsh salt on the roads, so it was just paining me every day to drive that car in the salt here. So it's nice to have the pimp edition for that too.
There's not really any winning though, because Ontario uses salt and then Alberta uses rocks.
Yeah.
So it's either your frame rust or you keep buying a new windshield.
And paint chips
or you need like 3M protection over the whole front of your car and like paint correction every second year and stuff like that. But I guess you could tar your car here. But the good thing with Audis too is they have like the panels on the bottom and the aluminum frame, so it does rust a little less. So that is nice.
Yeah.
But so kind of on the topic of, you know, thinking about selling the car potentially or maybe keeping it, but who knows. So you said RS5. Is there any other cars that are kind of on your radar, or like a car you'd want to maybe save up for if you did get the proceeds from the RS4?
Oh boy, so there's a long list for sure.
I think that makes 3 of us.
Any car guy has a massive list.
You guys could probably relate. Send us your list if you want.
Yeah.
And of course it goes from like adding 10 grand on top of like the RS4 market price to like throwing 40 grand on top and getting something crazy.
Yeah, if you throw 10, you might as well throw 100, right? And like that's kind of how we think, you know.
Yeah. But yeah, some other ones that are kind of in mind. So RS5, F10 M5 would be really cool as well, but those are a little more. If we're talking the really kind of high end, like save up for a couple of years after I sell the RS4, an F-Type R would be amazing. I kind of fell in love with those from a quote I actually saw in another video where they deemed it a Hellcat that could read, which I thought was kind of the perfect symphony, you know, a ton of power but also sophistication, which really drew me towards that car along with its good looks. Other than that, a C6 Z06 would also be pretty cool, but I have a Silverado, so you know, basically the same thing, even though it's even though it's the 4.8 and not the 7 liter.
Just put a wing on it, and you're good to go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sounds the same, right? So, yeah, that's kind of where I want to go next.
Nice. It's always good to have goals. What do you have any like word of advice for people that are getting into the car scene?
Oh boy,
or are into cars and like want to afford something?
Ask mom.
Yes,
she'll do it for you.
If you have parental financing, that can definitely help. Also, I know this is going to be contradictory, but don't get into Euro cars as your first car.
Agreed.
You'll just have headaches. Like, even though they can be reliable, parts are just expensive.
Yeah, and if you're
more
in
difficult
school
to work
too,
on.
Like if you're in university or even in high school for your first car, get a Euro car. Like, I mean, some of them are reliable. Like if you get some of the like simpler engines and stuff like that, it's probably fine. Although parts are still expensive. But if you really want to get into that, I'd recommend wait until you at least are working, so you can at least, you know, try to afford this stuff.
Exactly. And also like when we were living at home, I could use all the tools my dad had accumulated and things like that to work on it if I needed to. And then when I went away for school, I realized even the simplest issues, bringing it to a shop, Euro shops just charge a premium. It'll empty your wallet pretty quick. So definitely would recommend getting into something reliable to start out. JDM, you know, something like that, a Honda, even a Toyota. I don't know. Depends on what you hate, but it's a good place to start.
Yeah, definitely. And I think also just like something to keep in mind, like if you do know somebody that's like a mechanic or is good with Euro cars, that can be really beneficial for you, because like said, it's thousands of dollars, and like not even just labor, but even just like the parts are expensive, and they charge a premium at dealerships. So like even just doing that, like having a friend that is a mechanic or knows something about Euro cars, or you just have like a way to get parts a bit cheaper or something like that, that could be a great way to do it.
The advantage of having like a shit box is you don't really have to care. Like you can just hack stuff, like you said with your thermostat. Like
exactly, yeah.
Just hack stuff together. The car is worthless. Really.
Exactly. Yeah. That kind of makes it fun too, because then you can actually have fun in it. Because I feel like sometimes if people get like more expensive cars when they're younger, they're like scared to screw it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you have like a shit box that was $500, like who gives a shit? Go drifting, go hit a snowbank. Like no one cares.
Crashing that shit.
Yeah, literally. As long as it still runs, it's fine.
Yeah. Pile all your buddies in there, have people on laps and stuff. You don't want that in heated Recaros, you don't want to ruin those beautiful Euro interiors. So it's a great place to start. All right.
You want to finish us off, Ju? The last one, the most important question of all time.
Most important question for any car person ever to know. Money is no object. What is your dream garage? But you can only have 3 cars.
Oh boy.
That's going to be our theme on this show, by the way. When we ever have a guest on, this is going to be the question we ask.
The final blow.
The fuel for thought blow to death. So we'll sit here for 15 minutes, an hour, whatever long it takes. We're going to figure out how many, or those 3 cars, what are they?
No pressure, being the first guest, and this being a vital question.
Technically, we're the first guests, but...
Yeah.
I don't know, guys. So... I would have to split it kind of in terms of utility. Like now that I do own a truck, I would want a truck first of all. I've always liked the Raptors, so I think for the first one, just to get out of the way, I would get a Raptor R. I think that would just be like a good utility car to have. Any kind of thing you need to haul, or if you want to go Baja jumping, just random shit, you can use the Raptor. Second, honestly, this is purely for sound and the V12, an Aventador SVJ.
I respect that.
Yeah, when I heard the Gintani exhaust a couple of years ago, just became obsessed.
Literally nut-worthy.
Yeah. Oh man, like it's mainstream now, and I feel like it's very not overhyped, but it is a lot of little boys' dream cars.
Please
now.
Pause this, come right back, but go watch a video. You will not be like sad you did that at all.
It's beautiful. Before that, I was obsessed with the Murcielago, but I think the Aventador just brings it all together with the SVJ and a proper exhaust. Last, I think I would have to choose something like just a beast of a sedan, like maybe an F10 M5, something like that with just crazy power, but also daily drivability. Just so you can have, the SVJ parked, and if you don't need to, haul anything and you're just doing a road trip, you can take the M5. So I think that would be a good balanced 3-car garage.
Exactly, like kind of like a daily, kind of a sports car, and then a utility car.
Exactly.
That's a good balance, especially if you can only have 3. That's a good way to split it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure like some people will go for like 3 hypercars, but in reality, like you want kind of a good mix, And I don't think a hypercar would get enough use. So
especially in winter.
Like, I would definitely not live here with that. Yeah. But yeah, anything else you want to share about your RS4 or about your experience with cars? Collect Hot Wheels, kids. Me and Kevin do that.
Or don't. It gets way worse.
Yeah.
It's Hot Wheels and like 1/18 scale, and then real cars.
And all of a sudden, you're just broke forever.
Yeah, no, I don't think so, unless you guys have any more questions that you...
Cool, no, I don't think we do.
Came up during the podcast, but...
No, you got everything, Kevin?
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, guys, thanks for watching or listening if you're listening to this, and we'll see you next week in episode 20. Goodbye.
Thank you.